Hello, everybody. Um, Today, I'll be talking about confidence by design, how small details can shape big decisions in your design. And my name is Bisola Oyekan. I'm a UX designer at Playtech. So, what is user confidence? User confidence is a feeling of knowing what to do, like feeling like when people feel confident that they can move through a particular product without second guessing, without fear, or without hesitation. Because when you have users on your product, you want them to stay and you want them to be able to perform their tasks successfully. The last thing you want is for them to just drop off because they do not understand how to use your product. So it is always good to cultivate confidence and trust within our products. So why does this matter? One of it is completion rate. So when users feel confident that they can finish a task, they are more likely to uh, complete the task without feeling confusing or without feeling like they are risking anything or without feeling like they would spoil a particular decision. For example, if we have like a customer service in a company, or like a an employee within a particular company, and they've been asked to use a particular product, there's always that fear of, I don't want to make any mistake, or I don't want to do anything that might spoil anything within this product. So it's always good to, so one of the reasons why we should strive to make our products trustworthy is because of completion rate. The second one is, when there's confidence in your design, there's always fewer errors. So confident users make lesser mistakes when they are guided by the interface. So it is always good to cultivate this. Another one is user satisfaction. The more happy and safe your users are with using your product, the more likely they would stay. So if you want your users satisfied, you should strive to make your product trustworthy. And lastly, we have conversion. So when users trust what they are doing, they're more likely to either sign up, either check out. They're more likely to buy whatever things you are selling within that product or whatever service you are providing. So these are some of the reasons why confidence matters in UX design. So within the first 5 seconds of like users using your app, like when they're getting to your apps for the first time, the first thing or the things they tend to feel at first is they ask themselves, is this thing trustworthy? Is it confusing? Is it overwhelming? Is it worth their time? These things are the ones that will decide whether they'll stay to use your product or whether they are going to leave, or whether you're going to leave and not like use your product. So what are the things that actually shapes this first impression? Number one is visual clarity. How readable and how clear is the layout? Would they be able to navigate properly within your product? Second one is spacing. Is it clustered? Is it convoluted? Is there enough breathing space that wouldn't stress the users? The third one is the tone and the language you use. Is it understandable? Is it robotic? And lastly, how consistent and predictable your product is. If they click a particular product, is it going to exactly where they expect it to go? So these are the things that shape those impressions. And what are the things we can do to make sure, like what are the micro details we can do to make sure that our users are confident and to make our product also very trustworthy? Number one is clarity. So clarity reduces uncertainty. When they understand what they are meant to do, they are more confident and they feel confused about your product. An example of this is this website here, the Dropbox website. If you look at the top of it, we have a very simple and intuitive navigation. The users know that if they select products, they are going to see things regarding products. If they select solutions, they can see things regarding the solutions of that particular product, of that particular website. On the right-hand side here, we see a very clear and descriptive button. It says get started. So they are very sure about what that button does and what would happen if they decide to select that button. Another one is having a very clear visual hierarchy, merely scanning this particular website, I already have an idea of what the website does. So I'm not feeling overwhelmed. I'm not feeling stressed to understand what the website does. A bad example of clarity is this website here. When I first entered the website, for the first 10 seconds, I had no idea what the website does. I had no idea what I was meant to do within this website. So this is a very bad example of clarity within a product. So it is always good to strive to ensure that your app, your website is clear enough for the users. Another way we can encourage trust and confidence within our users is making sure that your application is predictable, making sure that it is consistent, making sure that whatever buttons they select is going to wherever they expect it to go. It's not like the first time, maybe if they select a particular button, it's taking them to a full page. And the next time they select that button, it is opening a modal, and like different things are happening. The buttons are not consistent. The layout is not consistent. Those causes confusion within the users. It makes them hesitate before they use a particular product. So you want your product to be, or you want your website or your app to be as predictable as possible. Thirdly, we have feedback. If a particular user makes a particular action within your app, how your interface or how your product or how your application or website responds also determines how confident they have in it. For example, if they maybe make an order, it is always ideal to have a confirmation message just so that they know that like the action they've done has been successful. Imagine if you're trying to order something on a website now, and then you select order, and then you don't see anything. Nothing tells you that, oh, your order has been your order has been accepted, or you don't see anything. You get confused. You're like, you start getting overwhelmed as if you've made you've made an error, a mistake. So it is always good to provide feedback. Another example of providing feedback is having loading states. For example, if you upload something on an app or a website, the interface or the system letting you know that your app has been uploaded, or the percentage of that upload, is always very good. It makes the users feel like calm, and they don't have to feel like agitated to see whether the action has been whether the action is being is being done. So it gives them reassurance. So it is always good to actually give the users feedback for whatever action a user does. There should be an equal feedback to the action. Fourthly, we have error recovery. So how do you do error recovery? An example of error recovery is having friendly error messages. If a user makes a mistake, because sometimes mistakes are bound to happen, but how the system actually responds to these mistakes also matter, and also shows whether your product or your app is trustworthy enough. One of it is friendly error messages, making sure that the tone is very supporting and encouraging rather than blaming the users. So an example of a supportive tone is, let's try that again, rather than saying that, oh, invalid input, without even giving them, letting them know what they did wrong. The second thing you could do is providing a next step. If they make a mistake and you let them know that, oh, you've made this error, the next thing you want to do is let them know that what else they can do to correct the error. You don't just leave them hanging. So telling them exactly what to do is very, very important. An example can be seen in this image where the wrong email was entered into there, and giving them an example of what the email should be, saying that name/@gmail.com is like a perfect way of letting them know that this is the next thing for you to do. Lastly, we have undoing actions. So it is always good to, if a user makes a mistake, you should always provide an undo or a reversal of that mistake. If they make a very destructive action, for example, if they delete something, having a restore like a place for them to restore that like deleted item is very, very important, because the last thing you want to do is make them commit a very destructive action that they can't come back from. If you do that, they will always go to like a different company that can provide a way for them to come back from their mistakes. So you do not want to just leave your users hanging and just leave them like that to struggle. You always want to like make sure that even if they make a mistake, there's a way to recover from those mistakes. And lastly, we have tone of voice. How you speak to your users is always very important, because you want to communicate to them like a human and not like they're speaking to a robot. For example, if you look at the picture on the left, we have like a 404 page. So in this image, they're telling you that, sorry, like the page you're looking for cannot be found. And they gave you the reasons why it can be found. And they gave you a button to navigate to, like navigate to like a way to like leave the page, or like completing a different task. And on the right hand side here, it just says not found, and they're like, the request URL something something something. It's so robotic. Like, I do not even understand what it means. Like, just leaving your users hanging, not explaining things, not communicating to them like you're speaking to a robot is very, very bad. So talking to them, and even if you use ChatGPT or maybe any AI product to do the copy of your apps or your website, it is always necessary, or always good to make sure you humanize those texts so that it is easier for the users to understand. You just don't want to put jargons that they wouldn't even understand what it's saying, because that would overwhelm them. So how you speak to your users, how you communicate to them, builds confidence, makes it very trustworthy. The one thing users don't want to do is feeling like they're speaking to a robot, because there's no way anybody trusts a robot. But it is far easier to trust someone or something that feels more human. So to sum up what we've spoken about, bad details result in negative emotion, and negative emotion results in negative behavior. And for example, if we have a vague button, like a button that they don't understand what it does, the first thing they will do is hesitate. And hesitation would most likely result in a drop-off. So, for example, if the tiny detail or the button says submit, it is generic, it is unclear, submit what? They do not know. So they'll ask themselves, what am I submitting? And that causes uncertainty, that causes fear, that causes hesitation. And this altogether results in the users pausing or second guessing their action. And the moment they start second guessing their action, they most likely would abandon whatever it was they wanted to do. Unlike if the button is very clear, and this would build confidence, and this would make sure that they actually complete the action. For example, if the button says send application or create an account, it is telling them exactly what the button intends to do. It's telling them that if they click this, it's taking them to a place where they can send the application, or it is taking them to a place where they can create an account. And what does this result in? It results in people knowing exactly what they want to do, feeling certain and feeling trustful with the system or the website. And this results in the users either clicking it, which increases conversion, like the conversion rate. So you want to be you want to do things that are very clear, and you want to build confidence in your users by being clear, by being predictable, by using human tone to talk to your users. So if you're creating a website or an app, there are certain things you need to ask yourself. Like, once you are done building everything, you need to ask yourself that, is this design that I just designed, is it clear enough? If the users decide to use this app, would they understand what to do? Would they understand that this is what this website does, or would they be confused and overwhelmed? So you need to ask yourself this. If it's actually within this checklist, it means that your design is actually good. But if it is not, it means that you've not built confidence in your users. Next thing you want to ask yourself is it predictable? How consistent is your product? How consistent is your app? How consistent is your website? You need to ask them that, if is the next step obvious? If they click on a particular button, is it taking them to where they expect it to be? If they are, let's say, creating something and it really involves like multiple steps, it is always good to have things like steppers that can let the users understand that after this page, this is the page that I'll be going to. If you remove that, you just leave your users uncertain about what would happen next. So you need to ask yourself, is the next step obvious? Another thing you need to you ask yourself is that, if a user perform a particular action, how does my interface respond to this action? Does my interface just leaves them hanging, or does my interface provides like a feedback to them to let them know that what they are doing is in the right direction? So you need to ask yourself that. Another thing you need to ask yourself is that, can my users recover easily from it? If they make a mistake or if there's an error in the system, can my user easily recover from this, or would they just feel stuck? Also, does the tone of this design, or the tone of this copy, or the tone of this text within this website, within this app, does it reduce stress, or does it increases anxiety? If you're writing jargons, or if you're writing things with so many big words, that would 9 out of 10 create anxiety. If you're using languages that your users would not understand, it would create anxiety, and that is something you want to avoid. So you need to ask yourself, you need to have this checklist and ask yourself that, does each of this, does my design actually pass, or does my design actually have each of these checklists within it? So one thing you need to understand is that confidence by design is a team sport. It's not just a design, it's not just a thing for a designer to know. It is something that both designers, engineers that are building this product, because if a designer designs something and the engineer does not code it well, if there's like an error or there is a bug within that particular system, there will always be uncertainty, and there will be lack of trust within that particular product. It is also for the product managers and for the UX writers that are writing the text, that are writing the copy of your particular design. It is their job to make sure that what they are writing, it is not too complicated for the users to understand. It is also the job of the QA to make sure that they are testing the product, and they are testing and they are making sure that everything is in order. So they are making sure that the app works correctly. Like if a user clicks something, the button is doing exactly what it's meant to do. It is not just leaving them hanging. So it is a team sport. It is something that everybody within the organization should, or everybody within the product team should like be aware of. And lastly, confidence is not just a feature. It's not just something you can say that I want to build. It is a feeling that that users have. So it is always good to create confidence and make sure that your product is as trustworthy as possible. Thank you.